Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the latest instalment of Made Live, the Additive X, which is brought to you by Made in Yorkshire and the Made in Midlands community. My name's Caroline Broad from Clarion Solicitors, and we're the patrons of the Made in Yorkshire community. And today I'm guest editing the fortnightly session, which is a quick and easy way to digest the latest manufacturing news and updates, where we're going to explore some of the featured articles from the manufacturing community and Made Group members. So we'll keep the session short and sweet. We're joined today by 3 members and fellow patrons of the Made Group community. We've got Unison Limited, Additive X and Catax. So thank you all for joining us live today. Firstly, we'll start off with Steve. So Steve Chambers is Sales Projects Manager at Unison Limited. So starting with a really great news story, which involves a collaboration between 2 Made in Yorkshire members, which not only displays the kind of strength in manufacturing community that we have here in the north, but also the opportunity and support provided between the members to work together strategically and working together in unison. So the first article is Stauf Group signs global strategic partnership with Unison Limited. So this article in brief talks of an existing relationship between Stauf, who are a hydraulic component and system supplier, and Unison, a UK-based leader in all-electric tube bending machinery. So we've got Steve, who can share us a little bit more from Unison Limited on the strategic partnership. So welcome, Steve, firstly.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Yes, you too, you too. So firstly, it'd be helpful if you could share a little bit about the history of the relationship between Unison and Stauf.
Yeah, okay then. So Unison have been supplying tube bending machines to Stauf globally for over 10 years now. We supplied the first machine to Stauf UK in 2010, and this was an all-electric Unison Breeze machine, a 16mm left and right machine. And this was closely followed by a very similar machine, but slightly bigger, 25mm left and right machine. And now Stauf UK have a total of 5 Unison machines, with the largest being 100mm diameter capacity. And in 2014, we supplied our first machine to Stauf overseas. This went to Moscow in Russia. Wow. And was a 50mm single stack machine. And after this successful installation, we then provided additional machines into Stauf locations in Australia, India, Brazil, and the USA. Up to press, I think Stauf globally have purchased 13 Unison tube bending machines, including additional machines for Russia, Australia, and the UK that have been delivered in the last 12 months. All of these machines have been supplied by Unison in Scarborough and have extensive tooling packages supplied with them. These have all been developed, designed and manufactured at HQ in Scarborough. We also supply additional tooling and application support as and when required to each Stauf site. Over the last 5 years, I've been looking after their accounts, managed to build up a really good relationship with a lot of the staff at different sites, especially with the accounts manager down in Sheffield, Ken Cleal. He's the global product manager for tube manipulation for Stauf all around the world. So built up a really good relationship with him, and we played golf a few times, and I've even let him beat me a couple of times. So really good relationship between 2 very good companies. Yeah.
Brilliant. Shout out to Ken. Well, it obviously highlighting that it's a key relationship for yourself and for the business, which is really good that you've obviously managed to formalise that. So yeah. Can you explain the importance of the strategic partnership and how important these partnerships are to Unison's growth and what it means for both parties?
Yeah, so the strategic partnership, it's vitally important for both companies, both parties. For Unison, obviously, we're guaranteed future tube manipulation machines and orders from Stauf globally, and service and support contracts annually. For Stauf, there's a number of key advantages: fixed prices on Unison standard machines, for example, discount applied to all machines sold within the Stauf group. Discount applied to all tooling and other Unison manufactured components and spares. Priority manufacturing through the business. We offer them guaranteed response and resolution times for any service and support or application support issues. 95% of our tickets raised are solved online and don't require site visits. And then we offer additional training during the annual service visits that we do to each site, which is obviously beneficial with turnover of staff and progression of staff. From a marketing point of view, Unison and Stauf, we often collaborate with social media posts and regarding new machines, tooling, and various new applications that we're both involved with. So it's very beneficial from that point of view as well.
Very good, yeah. Not only future-proofing both businesses, but also creating efficiencies and, great example of two organisations working together. Brilliant.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Just to take some of the words from Stauf as part of the article, they obviously stated how delighted they were entering into such a significant agreement with Unison Limited. Obviously, they spoke of the certainty, as you have, of tube bending machines, tool supply, the servicing and the support that they're obviously continuing to receive. But interestingly, they commented on how this relationship is contributing to their global commitment on reducing their carbon footprint. So I just wondered, obviously, as this is a huge burden for manufacturers at the moment, how exactly Unison can help businesses fulfill their own green agenda?
So Unison's all electric tube bending machines. They offer like a 90% reduction in power consumption, noise and waste in comparison to a traditional hydraulic machine. Also, obviously, they're far more environmentally better. There's less noise. There's no hydraulic pumps running, and there's no mess of oil on the floor and waste from when oil is replaced. So they are very environmentally friendly machines. So, and at Unison, we recognise that it's our responsibility to the environment. It goes a long way beyond our legal and regulatory requirements, really. We're committed to reducing our environmental impact and continually improving environmental performance. It's an integral part of our business and operating strategy. We constantly look at ways of reducing our carbon footprint, which obviously is passed on to our customers. It's a key driving factor in our tube bending innovation, really.
Brilliant. That's really good to hear. Good to hear. Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Steve. That's my final question for you on that one. So thank you for sharing those extra details.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to Jacob Wilson, growth lead at Additive X, who's in his fabulous kind of background with Formlabs there, which is the main focus of the discussion today. However, just looking into the history of the business, it's actually a great founding story for Additive X. I understand it was a group of friends who all came from successful printing backgrounds, renamed the business to Additive X, given the expertise in 3D printing, the extra support provided, the technical expertise, training and customer services. So I feel as if I should be asking about how friends go into business together, but I'll stick to the agenda, Jacob. I won't ask too many tough questions. So the article in question is around Formlabs Tough 15,000 resin certified for skin contact safety. So this article in particular talks about the Formlabs resin, one of the materials that the businesses supply, being accredited to the ISO standard for skin contact safety, which is the main certification for medical device and prosthetics manufacture. So obviously that's a huge sector, steep increase in activity given the UK's medical successes throughout COVID. Clarion certainly have been working a lot with the North, with a lot of organisations and businesses to help growth in this sector. So Jacob, firstly, if you could tell me a little bit around the kind of versatility of 3D printing in general and the different sectors that Additive X work in.
Sure. Yeah. So 3D printing is perfect for a lot of different applications. I guess the obvious one and the one of the most popular ones would be prototyping. So if you're a product designer or you work in R&D, having a machine on your desk that can show you an iteration, a physical iteration of the part you're designing in a matter of hours is something that's really unique to 3D printing. Before Additive, a designer would have to outsource it to get it machined or tooled to get it injection molded. So rapid iteration is something that's really important now for designers. But also 3D printing is becoming more advanced. So both the hardware, the materials, and the software are all growing really quickly. So now there's machines that can do mass production. So there are actually machines out there now that are competing with injection molding and CNC machining in terms of cost per part. And there's some applications that people have found which are ideal for 3D printing. So if you think about aligners in the dental industry, every single aligner is different. If you were going to go and get a tool made for that, every tool is going to be different. So 3D printing is perfect because you can create a full batch production of these parts, and your cost doesn't go up if each design is slightly different. And just the ability for a designer to actually create something on their computer, but then see an iteration of it in the hands within a matter of hours is really advantageous to them. So yeah, choice of materials is huge as well. And in terms of industries and sectors, we're really big in education, defense, manufacturing, automotive, aerospace. Really, there's, I could go from one day to speaking to a university to a dog food factory. That next day speaking to a massive defense company, and they're all using additive in different ways. And part of our responsibility is to help them understand where they can find new applications.
Very good. All very fast growing sectors, and of course great to hear about the kind of advances from the tech and also the kind of products you've provided. So of course the use of quality products is key for any organisation. What does the ISO accreditation in this case mean to customers in or supplying into the medical device market, and why would they choose this product? Obviously it's a very highly regulated market, isn't it?
Yeah. So this particular one, so it's a brand called Formlabs. You can see them behind me, their logo. They they make resin 3D printers. So like really high detailed stuff. But what they've recently done with this new announcement is they've put Tough 1500 resin through this ISO certification process, which means it's now certified for skin contact applications. Formlabs already do have quite a big range of certified materials for medical applications. But what's different about this one is that its original application and purpose in the resin family for Formlabs was functional parts. So the properties of it are they simulate polypropylene. So it's great for functional parts that need to flex and bend, but sort of bounce back to their original shape. What they've discovered is that they've got this now certified for medical, which means that people can design functional parts that are also certified for skin contact. So think like wearables, anything that you might design that you want to be sure is safe to come into contact with skin. Tough 1500 is now certified for that. So yeah, it means that people can design these parts and know that they have a material which is going to function in the way they want to, but is also safe to use with skin contact. So they've already got loads of different resins that are certified, like dental crown, permanent crowns, like resins that simulate gum, biomed resins. So if you think of COVID, for example, they had the nasal swabs, so they printed loads of them. But this is different because it's a functional material, and it can now be applied to the medical industry for wearables and medical devices. So we think we're going to see a lot more businesses being able to use it in that way now because it's got that ISO certification.
Very good and very innovative. Thanks, Jacob. Just finally, we've obviously heard about the benefits of 3D printing from what you've discussed, and the products in particular. What stands out more from understanding about Additive X is around the kind of extra support that you provide to customers, obviously in the name, which is very easy to understand. Could you tell me a little bit about the support to customers on how they would choose the right additive for the manufacturing material and their specific application?
Yeah, sure. So we've been in the 3D printing industry since 2013. We were actually Formlabs' first partner in Europe, so we've been with them since the very beginning. And we've been on our own journey of creating like a portfolio of products which are like best in class. So we don't just have one solution; we have a solution that we think can tick most boxes. So our responsibility is to like take the customer on a journey where we'll visit their site, we'll walk their production line and identify potential applications. And then based on our experience, we can recommend a solution which might be hardware solution in terms of you need this machine to print that part, but it's also material as well. So if you know that you need to print something, but you're like, oh, I don't know what material to print it in because it needs to withstand 200 degrees C, or it needs to be really strong but also lightweight. That's part of the process too, because we've got a really good material knowledge, so we can recommend the right material and then a machine from that. And other things as well. So we go onto site to do training. We can do CAD training as well. So if you're a more old school business and you don't really have the CAD experience in house, because 3D printing relies on the CAD design, we can help you with that too. So yeah, we really take customers through the whole journey, not just the selling of a machine. It's really about the whole additive journey.
Very good. Excellent. Thanks for that. That was really informative. And finally, last but not least, we've got Chris Parkhurst, Regional Development Director from Catax Group, who are also a fellow Made in Yorkshire patron. So thanks for joining us, Chris.
No problem, Caroline. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. So post-COVID, we've obviously never seen more support available for businesses, whether that's financial support or assistance in really helping to build, robust and resilient businesses. There's obviously been an increased uptake in support as industries and markets have been affected, not only from Brexit, but obviously from COVID as well. Key anchors to business growth, I feel, are the same ones that we've always urged organisations to seek support in, such as innovation, exploring new markets, exporting and moving up the value chain. But your article in particular, grant funding, taking UK manufacturing to the next level, I think is quite interesting, because the reputation when thinking about seeking support and looking at grant funding is that sometimes it can be quite tricky, whereas Catax seem to really take the sting out of the process. And the article talks about the capabilities for the sector and obviously innovation that can go on. So first of all, it'd be interesting to know the benefits of obviously investing in R&D and innovation. And obviously we know that it's usually these, kind of high performing businesses that do well. But in respect to the support, obviously to look at the difference probably between grant funding applications versus other types of support that's available, and why a manufacturer might choose that grant funding option.
Yeah, of course. So, there's lots of different options available for businesses, both in terms of what they've previously done with R&D, tax allowances, patent box if they've got patents, capital allowance if they own commercial property. And I'd always urge any business to be looking at all of those different options. They can provide relief on corporation tax going forward. The main difference with grant funding and innovation funding is that is for projects you have not yet done that you want to do. So what you will be doing is looking at projects you want to take forward and looking at grants that are available for those projects. And in terms of grant funding, it is significant in the amount of funding that's available. There's lots of different options, ranging from the tens of thousands of pounds, hundreds of thousands, into the millions, both available through UK funding bodies and European funding bodies. They can pay up to 70% of total project costs, which is a significant amount of any project. And it allows a business then to think much bigger in terms of ambition, innovation. How can they future-proof their business? Something that we've talked about here, when they're only contributing 30% of that cost.
Right.
It may be that a business hasn't got the resources internally to be able to drive that kind of innovation forward. So with grant funding, you can partner with industry organizations, you can partner with academia, you can really look at your business, look at a project and think, where can we take this to the next level? Once you've got a grant funded project, the kudos a business will get for that from having a government grant funded project, in terms of attracting customers, in terms of being able to sort of publicize that they've done this project, to be able to push their business forward and future proof it, is really invaluable to business. And with a lot of these grants, a lot of the grants are available for the type of projects that are outside the day-to-day. Most businesses will have projects on the back burner or in the drawer that they've looked at, but they might not have the financial power to be able to do that. They might not have the expertise. Grant funding allows you to bring those projects out and get them going and bring them to fruition.
Very good. Sounds great. Can you touch on some of the most popular kind of type of areas that manufacturers are investing in with R&D at the moment, and that are taking Catax up on their grant funding?
Yeah. So probably one of the biggest areas in manufacturing that's being funded is efficiency, whether it be raw material efficiency, and that's the full supply chain. Where are the materials coming from? How can we use them? Advanced manufacturing processes to be able to make more efficiently, but also the energy efficiency of it. There's lots of technologies available being looked into that can add to existing manufacturing processes without having to replace all CNC machines or replace all equipment. There's lots of technologies that can bring in to reduce that sort of energy efficiency. Smart digital manufacturing, again, a huge area, bringing the old analog manufacturing into the future and really pushing that forward. New products, new ideas, anything that's there to disrupt the market, that companies are looking at and thinking there's a need, there's a challenge within that market. They're looking at ideas to solve those needs and challenges. And this can be in all sorts of different areas. It's not limited. Some funding areas will have specific challenges that they need to address. Some won't, and there's a lot more flexibility in what you can do. Primarily, it's aimed at SMEs and increasing the competitive of SMEs, increasing their kind of market share, increasing that innovation within those SMEs. Ultimately, a lot of it is there for being able to make more, better, faster, and cheaper, and greener. And green manufacturing, digital and smart manufacturing, there's lots and lots of funding that has been available, is available, and is coming available for that.
Very good. All key areas for the manufacturing sector, certainly. And then finally, if you could just talk us through the process, or, I mean, thinking from a business perspective, the criteria or what they might need to do to be able to take up one of these grant funding applications.
Yeah. So grant funding can get very complicated very fast when you're not an expert and you don't know what you're doing. So the first thing I'd say to business is, what is it you want to do? That will be the first thing. What is your idea and why do you want to do it? What we can then do is take a client through the funding options that are on the table. What's the criteria of these funding options? Do they match up with your project? Or is it opening up a new avenue, something the business might not have thought of? They were trying to do things with their existing resources. The grant funding allows them to be more ambitious. So the first thing is, what is it they want to do? Then it's finding the right funding area for it. Looking at what are the challenges that business faces, where is the need for what they are doing. And once we found that funding area, it's a case of putting the application together and actually putting a case for the funding together. In terms of things like timescales, nothing happens overnight in funding. These are quite big, ambitious projects, so it takes time to be able to develop these projects. You can be looking at each funding area will have its own specific deadline, and from that you could be looking 2 to 3 months from submitting an application to actually finding out you've been successful. In terms of putting applications together, it can be a matter of a few weeks.
Very good. Thank you very much, Chris. That was really helpful. And that concludes all the questions. So I'd like to thank our guests today for joining us. And of course, thank you to anyone watching this live or previously if you're watching it afterwards on YouTube. So just to remind everyone watching that these sessions are available fortnightly from the Made in Yorkshire and Made in Midlands community. They happen every Wednesday at 12 p.m. fortnightly. So thank you very much to everyone for joining and hope you have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.